Joining me live now from Canberra is the Shadow Minister for Families and Social Services, Burney. Appreciate your time. I'm going to get to some of your portfolio matters in a moment, but first I am keen for your thoughts on those escalating tensions with China. Would Labor have responded to that fake tweet of an Australian soldier any differently?
Well, Labor has responded, and you can see from the speech that Anthony Albanese gave in the House yesterday that we join with others in the condemnation of this tweet. It is a huge step to take in attacking what is really iconic things within this country, and that being the Defence Force, which of course are going through so much and have done so much for this country. I think the words of Penny Wong have been very clear about what we do from here, about unity and about condemning what China has done. The other point that I'd make is that I think it looks very desperate in the sense that China needs to look at its own record before condemning others. I note that the Five Eyes have joined with Australia in condemning this tweet. Now, whether it was sanctioned or not doesn't really matter. The fact is that it happened, it's unacceptable, it attacks the very heart of Australia, and it does nothing to enhance the relationship between Australia and China, as you say, a major trading partner. And of course, this comes at the end of a number of tariffs that have been put in place in relation to Australian products. And I think that, as I said, the leader of the Labor Party and Penny Wong have articulated Labor's position very clearly.
Just looking at your portfolio, has caucus this morning given the tick for Labor's proposed legislation to provide 10 days of paid leave for domestic violence victims? How are your discussions with the crossbench going on that front? And are you really sure that now's the time to introduce that sort of policy? It is a time, of course, when small businesses are struggling right around the country. Is it a cost that they can really bear at this time?
Well, Ashleigh, it is the middle of 16 days of action against violence towards women and children and families. Last Wednesday was the International Day of Violence Against Women, or the elimination of violence against women. So I think the timing is really important. I hear what you're saying about small businesses, but there are a number of big companies that are already, and nations actually, that have already had this in place, and even in some cases more than 10 days paid domestic violence leave. The simple fact is, at the moment, there are 5 days unpaid domestic violence leave. It is just not adequate for women and families who find themselves in this situation, which is a dreadful situation, to be able to keep appointments, perhaps change schools, in some cases find new accommodation, and all through a very traumatic time. I think there is going to be enormous support, and certainly caucus was very supportive of this particular measure. It is something that we took to the last election, if you recall, and Labor is reaffirming its commitment to 10 days paid domestic violence leave for those that need it.
The government's legislation for the cashless debit card is also expected to pass the House of Reps this week. The Senate, though, is where it could face those hurdles.
Yeah.
How confident are you that you can convince Senators Rex Patrick, Jackie Lambie to help you vote it down? Where are you up to on that front?
Well, thank you, Ashleigh. That's a really important point, and I've had discussions with my colleagues this week about this. And of course, Rex Patrick was hosted by Mullindiri McCarthy up in the Northern Territory last week. Now, just let's be clear on what this piece of legislation does. It makes the 4 trial sites permanent, and it switches every single person in the Northern Territory that is on a social security payment, or the bulk of them, 23,000 onto the cashless debit card. They're currently on the basics card. 83% of those people in the Northern Territory are Aboriginal people. Now, I can't think of any more stunning example, Ashleigh, of structural racism. There is an enormous resistance in the Northern Territory about this card. I hear what the government's saying in terms of the technicalities of the card, but the fact remains that there is enormous resistance. And the stunning thing is that the government has commissioned a university in Adelaide $2.5 million to do an evaluation, and this decision about permanency was taken prior to the minister seeing that evaluation. Add all of that up, and I don't think that this card should be made permanent at this point in time, and Labor will resist, and I am appealing to the crossbench to understand what First Nations people have experienced in terms of dislocation and exclusion, and realise that the aspirations of First Nations people and others are an important factor in this particular piece of legislation.
Yep, sounds like you've got a way to go, though, when it comes to Jackie Lambie and Rex Patrick. All eyes will be on their votes this week when it does get to
all
that.
Eyes, yes. All eyes will be on those two votes.
Absolutely. We are out of time, Linda Burney. Appreciate you joining us to bring Labor's point of view on some of those issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you.